Welcome to another Artist Check-In. I'm Elliott Forrest. Joining us from Switzerland, Sir James Galway and Lady Jeanne Galway. Great to see you both again.
Oh, wonderful to be with you, Elliot.
Coming up December 8th, Jimmy, your birthday, your 85th birthday. So first of all, happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Do you have a sense through all of the concerts and albums and education, how many people you've actually both touched throughout this incredible career?
I wouldn't know. I mean, a lot, I can say.
I'm sure people express that appreciation as well.
Even ordinary guys in the street. For example, I was walking along the street in Lucerne, and this guy came out in front of me, and he looked like he'd just been digging the road or something. And he said, "Oh, you're James Galway, the world's best flute player." I thought, who is this?
What's been really nice, Elliot, is the last couple of years what we've seen also from our colleagues, other flute players from our friends in the Berlin Philharmonic, the Vienna Philharmonic, Concerto that come to the Lucerne Festival. They've all gotten in touch and we've all had parties and these just wonderful tributes to him. And my whole goal of all of this the last couple of years was that he would see, because you know how Jimmy is, he just kind of keeps going. It's kind of like, I just play the flute. I just play the flute. Like you say, how many has he touched? He goes, I don't know. I just play the flute. But we wanted him to see how appreciated he is. And as the critic wrote the other day, he said, Sir James, thank you for the music.
Exactly. I think we all feel the same way. There's a young pop star that you befriended that's maybe introduced Jimmy to a whole nother generation, and that's Lizzo. Tell us how you ended up meeting her.
Well, she talked about me on every talk show that she was on, and they decided, who is this Galway guy? So they got me together with her, and we played a few numbers, and we actually played
The Pink Panther.
the Pink Panther, yeah.
Right.
Flight of the
Oh, the Flight of the
Flight of the
Bumblebee.
Bumblebee for
That was
two
right.
flutes, Elliot, I tell you.
So she said, let's play the Flight of the Bumblebee. And I thought, okay. So I learned it up. And then when we got to the studio to play it, it was in a different key.
Oh. I did see that you did record the Pink Panther with her for Mancini's 100th birthday album. I'm guessing you may have known Mancini. Did you meet him over the years?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Tell me what you remember most about Henry Mancini.
Oh, his sense of humor. Great sense of humor. And, he made a piece called the pennywhistle jig, and he played it on the piccolo. And I thought, it's much better if he plays it on a tin whistle because it's easier. So I showed him how to play the tin whistle, and he never got over it. At any drop of a hat, he would whip out the tin whistle and play something.
And play it. Oh, that's sweet. You are known as the man with the golden flute. I'm curious how that got started and if there's a different sound with a flute that's made of gold.
Yes, I think there is a different possibility of sound with the gold flute, and well, with a platinum flute, it's even a step further. And I tell you, Elliot, if I had to start my career again, I wouldn't play a gold flute. I'd just get a platinum flute.
But show him that flute that you have. This is one of your favorites. No, you have
Oh,
to show it on camera with
Oh, wow. And there it is.
that he made. You say you made most of your recordings on.
oh yeah.
I think we're curious for both of you because you have been playing for so long, how you keep your passion for the instrument.
I don't know. I just like playing the flute. I mean,
It's
if a
just
day went past where I didn't play the flute, I would feel, okay, I got to do something about this. And tomorrow I will practice much more.
yeah, it doesn't feel the same if you're not playing. It was really great for us to have this concert because, as you know, with the pandemic, everything stopped, and it stopped for us because Sir James had gotten the COVID pretty bad, so that took a bit of few years back out. And then he decided that he would kind of step back from playing concerts publicly, right?
Yeah.
very smart, leaving the listener remembering, the
But
great.
if I had to do it again, I would practice.
Yeah, I think that we wouldn't have let this go because I think you've surprised yourself this last concert how well
Yeah.
you play. I mean, the audience couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, once you get out of form, it's very difficult to get back in. Very difficult.
And is that a matter of is both fingering and breath control? Is it both of those things?
Everything.
When you performed with Lizzo, did you give her any advice on either playing or a career with the flute?
No, not really. I mean, she just does her thing, and she's a very good flute player, actually.
You did give her some tips on certain things. I think you
Yeah.
showed her some fingerings, didn't
I
you?
did.
In the studio. But what was very interesting, it was the first time they met was at the Met Gala. And it was late at night. It was supposed to be at 9, but it was about 11:30 night, the night before with the rehearsal. And the theme of the music was the magic flute. So there were all other flutists there. And Lizzo comes in, and we saw her come in with Anna Wintour. And they come over to us, and Lizzo gets on her knees in front of him and bows. And I know, and in tears practically saying that he has changed the trajectory of her life because when she grew up hearing him, really helped her. But she learned everything by ear, so that was why the the keys were a little bit different from what you were working with. But when she got real excited in the studio, I said to her, "Lizzo, you sound like my husband," and she's walking around going, "Oh, I sound like James Galway. I sound like James Galway. I have the same sound." It was such a great time. But she's really a very, very fine musician, huh?
Yes.
And very kind, and it's like anyone's stage persona or how they come off to the public. But she's a very gentle, very serious person.
Well, it's so interesting because I mean, I think what you did for the flute was monumental in stepping it out as a solo instrument, and then seemingly a bit of a gap, and then someone comes along like her and basically reintroduces the instrument to a whole generation. I think you probably have that in common. Do you what do you remember from that time period for you when you stepped out and said, I'm not gonna just be in the orchestra there. I'm gonna step out and be in front of the orchestra and have a solo career. What do you remember about that decision?
Uh, I remember, I remember telling Carry On I was going to do it, and he said, "Well, if you don't do it, Jimmy, you will never know if you could." So I showed him I
Herbert von
could.
Karajan. Yeah. Did he have doubts about it, or he just wanted to know your plan?
No, he was trying to get me to stay in the orchestra.
Oh, I see. Hey, this may not work out. Is that the subtext there?
Right, and he told the guys in the orchestra, "Look, listen, tell Jim, make life easy for Jimmy. We want him to stay," but I wasn't staying.
You both have a number of initiatives. Tell me about the Galway Flute Academy and where that is today.
Basically, it's the umbrella for all our educational works. I think it's
Yeah,
because whenever we would go on tour, it was just very important for the two of us to nurture the young musicians. And it started way back also just with a simple master class, and we saw how full they got. But then we got involved with an organization in the UK because he was principal guest conductor of the London Mozart Players at one point in the early 90s. And so with this organization, Flute-wise, wherever we had a concert in the UK, we would start bringing in the young students, and so that then he would do something ahead of time. And one time I said to him, "So how did it go in Cardiff?" Because I wasn't there. He says it was wonderful. You never heard so many notes at the same time. No, it's just what you do. It keeps you alive, and it's important. You have to do this because we were all young ones too. And each one of us, yourself included, I'm sure, had those mentors along the way. And we make the connections for the older ones. So this one can go study in the Concertgebouw, and she's on tour all of a sudden with the Concertgebouw Orchestra. So they have ideas where to go next because it's so important to help them when they get in their 20s, to really help them know where to go, because they have this idea these days, it seems to me, that they don't know what to do. And I keep saying, you've got, everything is there. Everything is there, So that's our latest thing, is more the mentoring from afar, because we're not, touring like before.
Remind us how you both picked the flute. How was it that you started off playing this instrument?
Well, for me, my dad played the flute, my Uncle Joe played the flute, my granddad played the flute, everybody in the family played the flute, and there was nothing to do. You just had to take up the flute if you wanted to remain in the family.
But you did take up the violin.
I did, but it was attacked by several thousand Irish woodworms dedicated to eating a strad. But I didn't have a strad.
But didn't playing the flute also have something to do with your eyesight? This is something people don't know about Sir James. He doesn't see very well. Go ahead.
I have a congenital nystagmus, and it's very difficult to focus sometimes. And I gave up the violin and took up the flute, because I could stick my nose really into it.
And so you've also, over the years, that's why you've memorized a lot too, because you have the visual problem. But Elliott, that's why the critics grabbed on about his dancing eyes.
Right.
They'd always say about the eyes but that's actually the nystagmus, where he can't focus. And but it gets better, I think, with age, right?
Yeah.
So now you can sit further away from the music.
And you, Jeannie, how did you start with the flute?
Well, I'm a Long Island girl, and I had a free music program. And so I wanted to play the trombone. And because I saw a marching band, and the trombone stood in the front, and all the guys, they really play it, and all the girls were in the back playing the flute. And I thought, I am not standing in the back with all the girls playing the flute. I'm going to lead the band. But my mother and my aunt decided I shouldn't play the trombone. I should play the flute or the clarinet. And my sister wanted to play the flute, and I didn't. You know how it goes. You're 10 years old. And so I had to fill out the form, and I sat in that band room with you got to picture this, a Long Island band room with it must have been 30 kids, and flutes are falling on the floor, and the teacher's trying to get us to blow them. And I won't open my flute case because I said, I want to play the trombone. I'm already a problem for the teacher. And so then the teacher said, just try the flute, and then we'll talk to your mother about the trombone. And I picked up the flute, and I got a sound. And it was this sound, that was it. And I looked around the room, and no one was getting a sound. But it wasn't that. It was just this sound. And I think I was 10, and I said, this is what I'm going to do the rest of my life.
What's the best part about having two flute players in a family working together? What's that been like for you?
I don't know. I never thought about it. What do you think, Jean?
I think I understand him as far as what he needed on the road. And I made a commitment to help him, even though I'm very independent within myself. I felt it was, it's been a learning curve for me. I've had to learn to be quiet, and
that took a lot of work.
But to always respect, and always to listen, and to take the criticism when I didn't want to take the criticism. But it's just great, because we just always play duets, don't we?
Yep.
I mean, ever since we were dating, when I was in New York, when I lived in that little apartment, and I opened that, he used to come to my apartment, and I was living on the west side, and it's one of those where you stood in the bathroom to open the front door, because it was so small, the entranceway, and he used to come with his flute, and he used to say, I'm here from my lesson, and we'd play duets, and that's what we did, and you coached me.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
I think it's great, because we understand instruments. We're able to develop this whole educational projects between us. We just are always talking about the flute, and not flutists, but students, and right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think if memory serves, the first time I interviewed you, Sir James, I think you were 50, and then again at 60, and now at 85. It's been really a true honor for me to know both of you this long. You've come and played for me in my own community. We've done concerts together. I think I was at wherever that hotel was. I think, what was it, 500 flute players, whatever that day was.
Yes, you
That
were. You were.
right,
Yeah, you were
right.
hosting.
That people were
Yeah.
playing. I so appreciate not only your musicality and all the recordings and your good humor, but your friendship. I want to thank you for all those years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you both. I mean, we've all got a birthday coming up somewhere, but you do too as well, Judy.
Thank
And
you.
happy 85th, Sir James.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. And do you want to play him out?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. You want to play for us? What do you got?
Okay.
Why don't we play a bit of Brandenburg, and then we can play the pennywhistle.
Okay. This is a little bit from our concert the other night.
Great.
And it goes on and on.
Thank you. And now he'll play something for you, Elliott. And can we just say hello to all our friends in New York and to thank is it QXR NYC? I'm not sure what we're
We're
for
both. We're both.
both
It's one company now. Yeah.
for what you have done, also for someone from Long Island as a kid, and just to keeping music alive, and all your work, Elliott, and all your philanthropic work personally, and your friendship, but to everyone there, because we miss you all, and we'll bring them back in the spring. We'll come down and see you.
Well, yeah, I gotta say
Okay.
something. You know, I have the WQXR app on my computer, and
Oh,
I
great.
listen to great programs,
Thank you.
really great.
Yeah. Okay,
Thank you
James.
Okay,
much. All right.
here.
So, James Galway, Lady Jeanne Galway, thank you. Thank you so much, and be well.
Thank you, Elliott.
Thank you.
You too.
WQXR's artist check ins are made possible with generous support from Rose Herschel.